Danae. What's up, Danae?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
Doing good.
All right, so we want to start it off by asking you, what's your name, what you do for a living, and then we'll continue on from there.
All right. So my government name? You want my government name?
No, just what you go by. Yeah.
Yeah, Danae is what they call me. And what I do for a living is I'm a law enforcement officer.
Law enforcement officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what exactly in law enforcement do you do?
Well, currently I'm assigned to the Office of Professional Standards. So with that comes a lot of different hats.
Okay.
But it's state certification management. State certification is basically managing files and making sure that we're doing everything that's in compliance. It's a really cool program, so I'm not trying to make a whole state certification program here, but It is a really good program, and it helps agencies remain transparent and also progressive in their policies. So best practices, best policies, so you can have one of the best agencies, and also gives you a discount on your city's insurance. So that
that's always the plus.
Right. And it helps avoid a lot of lawsuits that way too. So
really?
You're not out here just willy-nilly and cowboy stuff. So that's one function that I do is state certification management. The next one is internal affairs.
Okay.
And then I'm also the training coordinator there, and firearms instructor and use of force instructor and just teach general stuff. And then I also oversee the FTO program as well.
Okay.
And I know I'm forgetting something.
What's the FTO program?
Field training officer program. So anybody that is new to our agency that comes in to work with us as a law enforcement officer, they have to go through field training. So while they're in the field training program, they're assigned to a field training officer.
Okay.
And while they're with that officer, they're learning, all the tricks of the trade, right? So they're learning how to police our agency's way.
Okay.
Right. So learning our policies, learning how we do reports, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
So they'll be assigned to a training officer. That training officer will show them the ropes, and then I kind of oversee that by the training officer. When they feel like they're ready to be released, will report to me and the chief and say, okay, I feel like they're being ready to be released, blah, blah, blah. They've done all these things. I keep record of all of their DORs, which is their daily observation reports that the FTOs have to do every day that they're with the OIT, which is the officer in training.
Holy shit, you do a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what got you into law enforcement?
Well, I guess a couple of things. As a kid, everybody said, I always wanted to be a cop when I grew up.
Yeah.
All right. So there was that point, where you're playing cops or robbers. I always wanted to be the cop.
Okay.
I always wanted to be the one doing the chasing. When, do you remember that game, Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit?
Of course.
On PlayStation?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be the cop. I was always in the cop car. I was trying to always upgrade my car. So that kind of stuck around or whatever, but that wasn't my first choice. I always knew I was going to go military first. So I did that.
Okay.
And then I did an array of jobs when I got out in the civilian sector, and I was like, people ain't got no discipline. It's like no structure here, Okay. So I started kind of, and then my dad, he's kind of standing behind you, but I grew up with my dad who had all that military, still that military discipline in me. I was a military brat, as well. So it's kind of looking for that sense of structure.
Okay.
Again, and I was like, I started getting curious, but I was like, well, what do you have to do to be a cop in Georgia? Like, what is the criteria?
Okay.
And I asked the cop one day, and he said, well, you ex-military? I said, yes, sir. And he said, oh, okay. Well, shoot, you know what? You put in an application.
Just like
that. So I said, okay. And then there was a hiring process that I had to go through and everything, but I got into law enforcement, been doing it 14 years.
14 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Long time.
Long time. So, we didn't get where you're from, because I heard when you said you Googled how to be a cop in Georgia, so you're not from Georgia?
No.
Okay, where you from?
Well, like I said, I was a military brat. So the longer version is I was born at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. Okay. I left when I was 2, so I really can't tell you anything about Oklahoma other than what my parents have told me of the tornadoes that would happen. Okay. That's it. So my memory kind of picks up my childhood in Germany.
Germany.
Yeah, we lived there for 4 years, and then we lived in Italy for 3 years, Republic of Panama for 3 years, and then we moved to Louisiana in the middle of my 7th grade year. Okay. So from 7th grade until I graduated high school, I was in Shreveport, Louisiana. So that's what I claim as home, because that's kind of where
Okay.
That's your biggest developmental period,
during those years.
During those years.
You're right.
So Shreveport's home, but I don't want to go back.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I know I met you in a tattoo shop, and you told me that you was a firearm instructor. Right?
Yeah.
How did you get into instructing firearms? Like how did that come about?
Well, I had a lot of encouragement in teaching over here. Very early in my career, I was kind of blessed with a lot of really cool opportunities. So I started my law enforcement career with the City of Griffin Police Department.
Okay.
And during my time there,
that's Griffin, Georgia, right?
Griffin, Georgia, correct.
Okay.
When I got there, of course, everybody has to start off on patrol. Everybody has this misconception that you can become a cop and walk straight into being a detective, work narcotics, and all this. No, you got to learn how to police first, right?
Okay.
You do that by answering calls for service on patrol. Well, after a couple of years of doing that, about 3 years of doing that, I ended up getting assigned to narcotics.
Okay.
So while in narcotics, we would execute our own search warrants, which means all of us end up being SWAT operators.
Gotcha.
So then I went to SWAT school, and then I really started just kind of getting into shooting a lot more, because in order to remain on the SWAT team or even get on the SWAT team or even pass SWAT school, you have to shoot at 90% or higher on the Georgia's qualifying course.
Okay.
We call it GSAT course.
Okay.
So with that, then I was like, one day I think I want to be an instructor. But it was those people, those other instructors and our SWAT commander and stuff like that, that kind of, the way that they taught firearms and stuff like that was like, man, I think I want to do this one day. I think I want to teach basic mandate one day, which is police academy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I said, I need to get my general instructor. So I got my general instructor, because you have to have that before you can get any specialized instructor certification.
Okay.
And so I said, all right, I got my general. Now I got to get my firearms.
Okay.
And so the next one I'm chasing is my defensive tactics instructor. I haven't received that one yet.
You chasing which one now?
Defensive tactics instructor.
So what's the difference between, because for all the people out there that don't know, like a lot of people just go buy guns, right?
Right.
And they go outside in their backyard and they shoot them in the ground, and they be like, bro, I'm a sniper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we know those people too.
So I know when I first met you, I told you I didn't know how to use no kind of optics, right? When it came to pistol optics.
Right.
And you actually took me out. Not only did you show me how to use the optics, you taught me some about my grip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so ever since you corrected me on that, I've been shooting damn near 90%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, and that's awesome. So when you ask me the question of why I want to be a firearms instructor,
that's it right there?
That right there. That's where the satisfaction comes from. When somebody comes back and says, hey man, you taught me something, and I'm a better shooter now, cousin. It's like, cool.
Okay, so how do officers get qualified though? How do you build them up to the point where they can qualify and actually pass?
Baby steps. And so it depends on the level of previous training they already have.
Okay.
Honestly, it's probably a lot easier if they never had any. And the reason for that is because they haven't had time to establish bad habits.
There you go. Yep.
And so it's easier to take somebody and say, okay, look, from this is the basic nomenclature of whatever gun they have, whether it be a revolver or whether it be a Glock or whether it be just whatever, any semi-automatic pistol, right?
Okay.
So you better go down here. Here's the basic nomenclature of the weapon, because how are you going to know what is functioning and what's supposed to do what when you're firing if you don't even understand how a gun works?
Yeah, the ergonomics
of the weapon, right?
Yeah.
So you start with that, and then you start moving into teaching them the basic 7 fundamentals of shooting.
Okay.
All right. So once they start picking that up, then you can start, okay, this is your holster. How do you get out of your holster? So then you baby step them getting out of their holster, and then pointing down range and getting on target. And while utilizing those 7 basic fundamentals of shooting. So a lot of it starts off with dry fire. We ain't just going to throw live rounds in a weapon and be like, all right, let's see what you can do.
Okay.
It's going to be terrible.
Okay. So that's a bad habit that I have when I'm training people. I kind of, I never thought about having them to go out and do a dry fire run first. Never thought about that ever.
Well,
right now until you said
big safety thing, right? Because I'd rather find out that you have poor muzzle control when we've already checked the weapon safe, not when there's live rounds in it.
Got you.
Right. So I don't want to take somebody out there who said, I'm a professional shooter. I hit all the beer cans in my backyard. Okay, perfect. let's go here and do some dry firing drills. Yeah, and they're just, they're snatching the trigger. They have no muzzle control. What am I doing wrong? You know, glad we don't have live rounds in there. So let's just stop where we're at right now and let's address these issues, and then we can go from there.
Okay, cool. So you say you've been in law enforcement 14 years, right? Yeah. Okay. So far, what benefits do you have of being an officer? So what's a good benefit of being an officer for the people that's coming up, like how you came up, that was just always interested in being in law enforcement? Like what's a good benefit to being in law enforcement?
That's a good question. Yeah. Honestly, it's the ability to be able to help people and change lives. Now, there is some things that people would care to argue about. You know, you make an arrest, essentially, yes, you change their life.
Yeah.
But it's what they decide to do with it after that, right? Every arrest doesn't have to be the end all be all. It could be a stepping stone in the right direction for you to change your path.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the ability to mentorship and stuff like that to just the general public.
Okay.
But you have to get in this job because you want to help people.
Okay.
And that's the biggest thing. Once you start saying, I hate everybody, I hate people, blah, 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 get out. Go do something else. Go work in a warehouse in the back or something. Gotcha. Right, where you ain't got to deal with people. So that's the benefit, is just that self-satisfaction and civil service.
Okay.
That's
pretty much something.
That's the greatest benefit. Okay. Damn sure ain't the money.
All right, so another question is we got to throw a little twang in here real quick. Like, since you've been an officer, what's the craziest thing you've seen so far that you can speak on? Because I know a lot of this stuff is confidential.
Nah, it's analysis paralysis, man. It's trying to pick just one story. Like, for 14 years, you see a lot of crap. You know,
I mean, the one that just was like, it was funny, but you was like, that's so fucking dumb.
Once again. So let me think on that one for a minute and figure out which one is.
Okay, so we'll do this one then. I just want to know, like,
aluminum. Oh my God. Okay. So
aluminum. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's not the craziest thing, but the individual definitely had some mental health issues. Okay. Schizophrenia. Right? But she was a constant caller 2-3 times a day. This is down in Griffin, Georgia.
Okay.
Constant caller all the time. And but when I was a rookie, when I first got to the academy, I got to answer a call for service at her house. Right. Okay. And nobody really warned me. It was kind of like a rite of passage, I think. Right. So nobody really warned you. So I go up to the door, I knock on the door, and I'm like, answering my call.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in my perfect little interview stance.
This your first call?
That's not my first call, I'm sure, but this was me.
Okay.
For like at least the first 90 days of my career. Right.
Okay.
So I knock on the door. And a lady comes to the door, whatever, and I see her, and then I see these tiny little black creatures crawling up the wall everywhere.
Okay.
Baby roaches.
Okay.
And there's this odor that's coming from the apartment or from her house. And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "What can I do for you today?" You know, and I'll introduce myself, who I work for, blah blah blah. And she starts going on her story about how, you know, this other individual, I'm trying to throw the names out there, right? So this other individual has been shocking her with electric devices all over her body, and she can't get no rest. So she talked real fast like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, And I'm looking around her house. I was like, man, why don't you go ahead and step outside for me? You know, she was like, you come in, you come on. You step outside for her, right? But here's the biggest thing when she opened the door. She was wearing a damn tinfoil hat. Okay, and it was like this white tinfoil hat, and had like all of this white powder stuff like in front of her door. Now the other officers in my FTO, they back there.
you don't know they
like. No, I don't like. You're right. They just got there cracking up, and I'm like, what in the hell's going on, right? So I end up finishing that call, and I go over there, and they was like, I can't believe she did it. Did what? She put the tinfoil hat on. So some other officer, last time they went on the call, told her, because they get these calls so much.
From her. Okay.
Told her that if she wears a tinfoil hat, then the electronic rays cannot penetrate her body. And I get to be the jackass that gets to see that first. So, yeah.
Wow. No, that was a good one. That was a good one. So how long do you plan on being on the force? Like what's your future from here? Does that make any sense?
Until I'm tired.
Until you're tired?
Until I'm tired. Until I'm tired. I like to say to retirement, but you know, that's a long way from now too. So, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
All right.
I enjoy the job that I'm doing right now. The job I'm doing right now is actually my dream job. So it'd be really hard to kind of just step away. It'd have to be something really great. The alternative that I could see doing past this part of my law enforcement career would be going down to the training center and actually being an instructor down there.
Gotcha.
And then I would just do full-time training. So that would be my main job function.
Gotcha. So that was like segmenting into my next question was like how stressful is the job? But I mean, from your words, you kind of like you love it.
Yeah, I do love it. It is stressful sometimes. Sometimes you're just like, man, God, you know. But it is rewarding and it is fun, and I have more fun than I have stress. So I am blessed in that aspect.
Okay. And so, because we're about to go to wrap it up, so let me ask you this: when did you get your first tattoo?
My first tattoo?
Yeah.
Well, my dad was there. I had just turned 18. They made me wait till I was 18 to get my tattoo, and I'd already signed up delayed entry into the Air Force. So I was still in high school when I signed up.
Okay.
And so I turned 18. I told them at a very young age, I would get the little temporary tattoos and stuff, because my mom and dad have tattoos.
Okay.
So I'll get the little temporary tattoos. I like riding motorcycles and stuff like that. I grew up on the back of my dad's Harley, you know.
Okay.
And so I would ride my bicycle with my little huffy bicycle with my full face helmet on, right? I got my little tattoos on, man. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Oh, really? It was out there. Tassels flying in the wind.
Yeah.
Huh?
So my first tattoo I got when I turned 18 down there in Shreveport.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so as a law enforcement officer, right?
Mm.
When you go into the public and they see your tattoos, how do they treat you? Do they treat you any different or?
No, actually, in some areas, it kind of became a conversational piece, right? So it was kind of a form of de-escalation. That's what a lot of older law enforcement executives, like chiefs or sheriffs and stuff like that, some of them do not tend to understand, because they want you to cover them up. They don't want you know, and you do have to have a tattoo policy. Obviously, you don't want people with tattoos on their face.
Yeah, of course not.
But there's been plenty of times where I've gone to calls and it might be getting heated a little bit, and they're tatted up. I'm like, man, who's doing your work? Oh man, I go to someone and say, okay, I like that. What's that? You know, and they think I'm looking at their, like, if they have gang tattoos or whatever. Yeah. That's also part of it, right?
Yeah, but you're really trying to de-escalate.
Right, but you really de-escalate or whatever. So you kind of looking like, oh man, blah, blah, blah. They're like, yeah, I like your work. Who got your work, man? I got them all over the place, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of shift that conversation to a point where we both have something in common.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And so you kind of build that rapport based off of that, and then you can handle business as
you
usual.
Become relatable.
Right, exactly. Because we're all just people, man. You know?
True. All right. So with that being said, we appreciate you for coming out here. It's cold out here. Yes. It's the day after Veterans Day. Thank y'all for y'all service. I thought yesterday was Veterans Day.
It was the observed holiday people had to work.
Gotcha. Thank you for your service. Thank your dad for his service, and thank the rest of the military people for their service.
Absolutely.
And so we're gonna go ahead and follow you over here to the range and get you putting a couple of shots down range. And awesome. Anything you want to tell the people?
Hey man, just be easy. I don't know which one to say.
Be easy.
Be easy.
All right. Peace.